All right, everyone, we have to talk about Chelsea Manning because there were some pictures posted the other day, and it was, a little bit on the surreal side and weird, actually. What ended up happening is that Manning, who's, running for the Senate, you'll remember as Bradley Manning formerly, leaked material, government documents showing wrongdoing in the military. Now, nobody was ever harmed as the result of that, and I actually agreed with Obama. One of the few things that he did, especially towards the end of his presidency when he was acting sketchy, was commute Manning's sentence. Saying basically the sentence given for something that didn't actually involve any harm to U.S. assets, any of its allies, or anything. It was an excessive sentence, so we're just going to commute it. Now Manning's running for the Senate. Now, the first things first, I am not 100% sure that there can actually be a Senator Manning, considering that the sentence was commuted, but there was no pardon issued. That means Manning is still a felon. I'm not sure, as far as the laws go on that, I'm not sure there can actually be a Senator Manning, and the odds of victory would be remote. But I guess campaigning and doing the activism thing at the same time is a little bit too stressful. My advice, of course, being drop out of the race. And I'm not saying this for ideological reasons. Oddly enough, despite the fact that Manning is a total fucking nut when it comes to, we're going to abolish the police entirely, says Manning. Well, yeah, that campaign strategy, I'm not sure will work. I'm not sure that a sane individual would actually be making what apparently boils down to a legit attempt at political office while saying such things. Abolishing the police and the military and stuff. No, I don't think that sounds like a good idea. Not that a senator would be any threat of being able to do these things on their own, of course. But I actually prefer that progressive, far out there, weird side of the left to the neoliberals, and I'll tell you why. The neoliberals are authoritarian, very much so, abusive, corporatistic, they like to start wars and stuff. At the very least, the social justice warriors are showing you what a real leftist is like. Yeah, it's out there, but at least they're being honest. The neoliberals want to abuse you too and do all sorts of crazy shit, but they pretend that it's centrism. They pretend that we're the sane ones. The progressive is insane for wanting to up the tax rate 5 points. We only want to up it 2 points. We're the sane ones, and it's just this false dichotomy bullshit. The biggest risk, believe it or not, to the Democratic elite, sort of the entrenched Tom Perez, Hillary Clinton power structure, people like Manning. Believe it or not, because it's going to rip the party apart. A lot of people, they want actual leftism. They want the Democrats to be an actual liberal movement. That can take one of three basic forms, none of which is neoliberalism. You can have a far left, sort of a Sanders-Manning style party, a blue-collar worker sort of populist party, which is, maybe a Jim Webb style party, or you can have a classically liberal, which would be, almost a left libertarian movement. All three of these things exist within the Democratic Party, but they're very small movements. The progressives arguably are the second largest bloc within that sort of four-movement Democratic core. The thing is, because they are growing in power and comprise the younger Democrats disproportionately, the neoliberals are having trouble with preventing a schism within their party. What they should do is try to reform the party, but they're too fucking dumb to do that because the neoliberals keep wanting to suck more bankers off. At the very least, people like Manning aren't doing that, but when you've got someone, posting a picture, looking down at the street saying, "I'm sorry, but goodbye, my friends," basically. Here's a picture of my feet standing over the ledge of a tall building. That's, isn't that shouldn't Twitter be cracking down on Manning's page at that point? Wouldn't that fall under some of their outside of terms of service content? I think it actually would. Shouldn't the police get involved? Shouldn't the mental health system get involved? Here's another piece of evidence. You've got someone who's publicly talking about wanting to kill themselves, fucking jump off a building, probably no one will do anything about it. Yeah, I'd say that that's the hallmark of someone who's under a little bit too much stress. You can be an activist or you can be campaigning for Senate, probably not both at this point. And since we all know that Manning is the emoji candidate and tweets constantly, I think that the former definitely is, not going to happen. What I would say, though, is, regardless of your personal feelings about Manning, I know a lot of people, if they're on the right, they're like, Manning is a traitor. It's like, well, no, not really. at least had good intentions. Clinton did much worse and actually got a lot of people killed, and doesn't have the problem of being labeled a traitor in any legal sense. A lot of people at the time, they were like pissed off at Manning, but that's because they believed that people would be harmed. Like, oh no, our troops are in danger now because of this release of info, and it never happened. Regardless, though, of my own personal beliefs about Manning's political views, which I think are fucking screwy, fucking loony shit. I was watching someone try to kill themselves, never a fun thing. So I would say, yeah, for pragmatic purposes, hopefully decides to drop the Senate bid. And for political reasons too, although continuing to pressure the Democrats to actually be a left-wing party is a decent idea. You'll end up with a synthesis between the far left and the neoliberal views, which means you'll get something that's probably actually sane, maybe like a JFK-style party. The real goal of that reform is not absolutism. You're not going to get that. That's how these reform movements always work, because a lot of people that are on the fringes of that progressive movement will move back into the Democratic Party as it moves a little bit further left. The absolutists, the people like Manning, will never be happy unless it becomes an anarcho-communist movement. But you can actually inject a little bit of leftism into it. When you have the youth at your back, you can do that. You can't do that, though, if you are splattered on the sidewalk, of course. It'd be nice to see the Democratic Party be worth voting for. Right now, you look at the Democratic field, and the last good Democrat, Kucinich, basically, in my opinion, has completely sold out. He's like, oh, we're going to ban guns, ha ha ha. We need more taxes, we need universal health care and stuff. It's like, in the past it was, stop killing people overseas, Big Brother is a problem, surveillance is a problem. Back in the Bush era, Kucinich was saying all the right things. He was along with Mike Gravel, the other Democrat at the time that I personally liked, and they're both far left, but that's because they were focusing on the Big Brother, the surveillance state. Police state needs to go. Government should not tell you what to do. Government should not be moral. Corporations should not stifle free speech. We should not be bombing people. Those are good issues as far as actual leftism goes. Now he's all about tax people more. Government is actually pretty cool. It should tell you what guns you can own and how much money you're allowed to keep out of your own productivity. Total fucking sellout. That's what Kucinich is. And as for Manning, focuses on the latter, generally speaking, too. Of course, because is Manning, maybe, has a little more of an appreciation for the fact that government can be abusive and tyrannical and do stupid shit, and that war is not a good idea. So, actually, surprisingly, a little bit of sanity there. That's about all. Peace out.